Hey, how's it going, guys? MrBossFTW here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 9 things you might not know about in Grand Theft Auto Online, including some tips, tricks, and a whole lot more. So user Blackhawk3456 posted some random tips and information, and I thought it was really cool, and I'm going to share them with you guys today. Now, I don't expect for you guys to not know all 9 things I'm going to be talking about, but if I can show you at least 1 or 2 new things, then I would definitely consider this video a success. So let me know in the comment section down below if you have anything else that you think is pretty cool and that players might not know about. And from a lot of the comments that I've read, there's a bunch of people saying that they are experienced players that are finding some of these tips helpful and that you rarely see. So hopefully you find it the same. But with all the way, let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. All right, so tip number 1 is going to happen when you're parachuting. So when you actually land normally when you parachute, you have to do like this annoying and slow animation where you have to take the parachute off your back. Now, it only takes about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds, but if you're in a mission or in free mode, that could be the difference between life and death. And there's actually a trick in which you can completely avoid taking it off your character. So what you want to do is when parachuting, hold the aim button at the right time when landing. Your character will aim their weapon and the parachute will basically fall off your back instead of your character doing like the shrugging of the shoulders, taking it off. So you guys saw me do it successfully right there. Now what I'm going to do is show you guys what happens when you don't. You can see there's a clear animation for taking your parachute off, and it restricts you from moving and sprinting and shooting and aiming down sights during the time period in which you're doing that. So this can be very helpful for, like I said, in missions and free mode so that you can go from parachute to the action as quickly as possible. All right, tip number 2, did you know that there are 3 types of horns in an emergency vehicle, such as a police car, a fire truck, or an ambulance? So if you tap the horn button, you're going to get the steady flow of sirens, as you know. However, if you tap it again, you're going to get this pretty awesome secondary horn, which makes a bunch of random sounds and noises, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different variety here. And there's also a third one as well. If you don't want the sirens to come on, you can actually hold down the horn button, and it'll give you like this muted kind of horn sound, which is actually pretty cool. Now, another tip regarding the sirens is it also makes the NPCs stop and immediately give way. Now, this can be incredibly useful for supply missions involving police bikes, or if you just want to use a police bike as kind of like an escort to get NPCs out of the way and prevent them from crashing into you. To me, this just enforces the fact that we need a police-style DLC into the game. I think it would be so awesome, as there's a bunch of amazing features that Rockstar could ultimately end up doing. Tip number 3, when you're on the internet and on your phone, there's actually an easier way in which you can turn to the game without having to deal with a bunch of menus. So for this example right here, I'm gonna buy a yacht, and you can see we've got a lot of different pages to go through. And if we wanted to back out of each individual one, it would take us about 5 to 6 to 7 pages to get back to free mode. Well, you can skip all of that by instead hitting triangle or Y, the same button that you press to enter a vehicle, so that you don't have to actually back out of all the menus. You just instantly go back to free mode. This is incredibly useful, saves us so much time, as once you go through those purchase screens, it is a real process to get back to either the main menu or to free mode. So use this and you can save yourself some more time. Tip number 4, this is really useful if you're in a hurry and you're actually trying to take off. You can actually skip the hatch closing animation in a stunt plane by holding the acceleration button. So that for me is the right trigger. Your player will start the engine before closing the hatch, allowing for a quicker takeoff. So I tested this with the Mallard and it actually worked. You started taking off a whole lot quicker. Your character will close the hatch while the propeller is spinning up, or in my case, they won't close it at all. Now, this also works for other jets like the Titan and the Luxor, where you have an exterior door. If you hold down the accelerator while getting inside, you'll notice that you'll literally start to take off almost instantly, and you won't have to wait for either the engines to do that startup animation or for the door to shut itself. So I think this tip is incredibly useful, as I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where I've needed to take off quickly and either another player or an NPC has gunned me down because I'm waiting on my jet to ultimately take off. Tip number 5, this is actually how you can get a pretty cool speed boost takeoff in a race. So I'm sure many of you guys know about getting the boost at the start of a race. Well, there's actually a secondary tip to that. If you hold the gas during the entire countdown and then release it at the last second, just before hitting the gas again to achieve the boost, you'll get a slightly faster start. And just to clarify, this is ever so only slightly faster than just pressing the gas on go so that you can get the original boost. But if you're in a race, seconds do matter. And that little boost at the start might be the difference between you winning and coming in second, especially in things like premium races and where there's a huge payout at the end. Like I said, this could be the difference between making a ton of money or making not so much money at all. Okay, tip number 6. This is incredibly useful if you're trying to deliver a sourced vehicle and you're being chased by a few cars and a helicopter. So the way the import-export NPC waves works is there's 4 waves, 2 cars and a helicopter. What you want to do is destroy both of the cars, and then with the helicopter, you want to shoot out the co-pilot. Now, why the co-pilot? The co-pilot is the one that's actually shooting you. The pilot doesn't do any shooting. So if you keep the pilot alive, the only thing that helicopter can do is follow you around. It can't shoot at you, it can't do anything, and because that wave of NPC is still alive, the game won't decide to spawn more in because it knows that there's still a helicopter chasing you. So if you were to do this normally and destroy the vehicles and destroy the helicopter, well, a couple seconds later, another wave would arrive and shoot you, causing damage to either yourself or your car, thus reducing your profits. So destroy the cars is obviously you don't want them in the way, and then just take out the co-pilot and the helicopter, and you should be good to go as far as completing your import-export missions and making it as smooth as you can. All right, tip number 7. This might be known by a lot, but this is something I use every single day. When you're trying to spawn in a vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle or from the mechanic or from the CEO vehicles, even though you can't choose where you want your vehicle to spawn in, you can kind of help it spawn in by turning it away from your screen. So, for example, I always want my vehicle to spawn in front of me. So I'll either look up at the sky or down at the ground because your vehicle will always spawn outside of your field of view. However, if you want it to spawn to the left or the right, you want to look the exact opposite of that direction. So, for example, if you want it to spawn to the right of you, look to the left as it's going to spawn outside of your field of view. And again, this works for MC motorcycles, deliveries from the mechanic, CEO vehicles, and so much more. Okay, tip number 8. This is here for some of you guys that are completely new to the game. But when you get more than $5,000 on your game, it's going to tell you need to visit an ATM to bank your cash. Well, there's actually no need for that. You can just use the money service section on your phone, like the Maze Bank site on your phone, in order to deposit the cash. You don't need to go to an ATM as they're pretty randomly scattered throughout the map. In fact, I don't even know if there's a single purpose of going to an ATM over using the in-game phone. I think you might be able to deposit a little bit more money at a time, but that's really like a first world rich person problem. So that's pretty interesting right there. And last but not least today, I'm going to be showing you guys a pretty cool hiding spot that you can use. This one is located kind of in Los Santos. It's near an area where a lot of like helicopters spawn. There's that little dock. It's kind of near Vespucci Beach as well. Well, if you want to actually go underwater and hide without having to die, this is all you have to do. Just swim underwater and then try and get as close to the surface as you can underneath the dock. And you can see my health is not going down at all, which is awesome. So if you have a bounty on you or you're just trying to troll your friends or your crew members, this is actually a pretty great hiding spot in which you can just hang out here and you won't actually die, which is super cool. But anyways, that's all the information that I'm going to be talking about for you guys in this video today. 9 things, tips, tricks, and so much more that you might not have known about here in Grand Theft Auto Online. As always, if you learned a thing or two from this video, I definitely consider my goal accomplished, and a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.